thank you so much for being here promptly. It's really kind of you. We've got a lot going on today, and I know there's a lot of people coming and going at different times. So it's great that you're here for the first talk. So this was a very spontaneous day that really came together from a conversation I had with Sarah Dyke, and then with lovely Sue Pace, and we decided to do this together as we do a lot of partnership work with Balsam and Seed, working with women in the community. So welcome, welcome. And the first talk today is between my friends here, Brilliant and Brilliant, and they are friends, which always helps. Brilliant, Saskia Marjoram, who most of you know with Saskia Flower Essences, and the brilliant Georgie Newbery, who most of you know if you didn't before from Substack, which she is on every second of the day, but I thoroughly recommend you follow her. And so Georgie, of course, has a flower farm, which we've had for quite a long time. 15 years, and she teaches other people to be a florist, like every sensible woman in the land. Both Georgie and Saskia are very committed to organic farming, to healthy farming. I mean, Georgie's whole thing, of course, is let's grow locally, let's not import. I saw a line you used this morning about not fly,
grown, not flown.
Grown, not flown. I thought that was brilliant. And Saskia works with flowers as healing agents, so she turns them into essences, which she teaches other people to do as well. So I know from who here's used one of Saskia's essences? Yes, I mean they're brilliant. So either whether they are made for you specially, or we have some downstairs which are based on the Power of Seven that Saskia did for us. They are so powerful. It's incredible that from such a simple little thing, they can be something that really keeps you balanced and well and confident and healthy. So well done to both of you. And also thank you for being local as well, being Canton growers. So I'm going to ask you both to tell a bit of your story. Who wants to start? Georgie starts. It's always only because Saskia will think about what she's going to say while Georgie speaks. So,
I'll be interested in what Georgie's going to say.
So Georgie's going to start. I'd like you to tell your story, what you're doing up there, and how you feel about growing generally, and how important it is for women to take that role, as well as all the other roles we do. Saskia will then come in and talk about how she started, what she did before, and how she does her beautiful products, and then we're going to open up to a Q&A. So is that all right for everybody? Mm-hmm. So I'm going to get out of the picture. Oh, here I is. So Georgie, over to you.
So about 15 years ago, so I have a 15-year-old daughter, and 15 years ago I was slightly looking for something to do. My husband and I had bought a very falling down farmhouse in Chatham Musgrove with a 7-acre plot, what was left of an old dairy farm. And it's the worst land, it was the cheapest land we could find, and it was a really falling down house. It's still falling down, in a new way it's falling down now. And the land is pretty much the worst land in Somerset, but it was cheap at the time. And we didn't really know what we wanted to do. We were real fantasists. We used to, does anybody know the John Seymour books? Yeah, so we had all the John Seymour books, and we were like, yeah, we're going to be self-sufficient and live off the land and keep pigs and chickens and grow vegetables. Anyway, so that was 20 years ago. 5 years in, we had a little boy who was 3, a brand new baby, and somebody, well, David Posnett, if anybody knows him, sent to me a bunch of flowers in the post from the Real Flower Company, and I had a massive light bulb moment. I was like, I pulled this bunch of flowers out of the box, and they were very nice flowers, and I thought, and they were a bit like this, and I thought, well, I could do that. I could do that. And we had been looking for something to do. I was a writer by trade and had lived in London and Paris for a long time, and was used to kind of being in the middle of the noise, and so work was easy to come by because you were there in front of people, and it was before social media really took off. And if you were out of sight, you were completely out of mind. So the money was drying up, and I was like, oh, no, we just need some cash flow. How are we going to live? And I got this bunch of flowers in the post, and I thought, that's it. I'm going to grow bunches of flowers and send them by post. So we did, and I knew nothing. I could grow sweet peas. I had discovered that I was better at growing flowers than I was at growing vegetables. I didn't particularly love keeping livestock, and so we grew flowers. And for the first 10 years we did a lot of flowers by post. That was our bread and butter. And then along came COVID, which actually for us in some ways was a gift, because it meant that we were forced to step back from what we'd been doing. It gave us time, and I thought, I'm not sending flowers by post anymore. This is too exhausting. I was going to have to scale the business, and this is a really big thing for me. I really very strongly believe that we shouldn't be forced by the way that business has always been run to follow a growth for the sake of growth model.
Yeah.
And I need to make a living, but I don't want to grow and grow and grow and grow. And if I had carried on at the rate we were going, I would have had, 10 people, there would have been a production line, I would have been behind a computer all the time. What on earth's the point of that?
And you wouldn't have made any more money.
And I wouldn't have made any, I really would not have made any more money. So we kind of rationalised and we brought the business much, much more local, and we now do, so far this year, 23 weddings, but I'm hoping to get about 30, and events. And I work with luxury wedding florists, who I love, because they come and buy 8-foot branches of hornbeam, and they buy the big stuff. And then my DIY wedding flowers, I do people will have 10 or 15 buckets of flowers, and they arrange them themselves. And I love that, because I love the fact they're not spending a fortune. I don't think weddings should cost the earth. They should cost a reasonable price for what you have. And friends and family can then get together and make the flowers on the Friday before the wedding, and it's this lovely, it's lovely. I get such lovely thank you letters, I love it. And I teach. And so the teaching has become a massive part of the business. And COVID made us go online. So I teach online, and I now have this kind of worldwide community of local growers, which is fantastic. So I have a club on Substack.
Tell us about your garden sale idea. That was the best idea you ever had, I think.
Which
about having everyone having plant sales on the same day.
Oh, so yeah. Well, so
because that's a real women's community.
So this is something. I just think you have ideas based upon what's happening, but also there are things that you can't control, and I can't have everything. It's not mine. But a good idea is a good idea. So if you have a good idea and you can share it with somebody else, then why not? So we have held a plant sale in Cheltenham Musgrove for years, and some of you may have been, and it's
When do you hold it?
arrived.
I'm coming.
This year it's the 10th of May. It's always
Okay.
the second Saturday in May. And we took a break over COVID because of COVID, but we restarted last year. And we can only do so many plants. This is a small village plant sale. So I was like, but I've got 300 people in my club around the world. So they can't all come to my plant sale because they're in Australia or California. So why don't we all hold a plant sale on the second Saturday of May, and everybody raise money for their local gardening charity. And gardening charities do work we can't even imagine how valuable they are. And often we don't even know they exist. So part of the Balsam Centre, I'm sure some of you know, is the growing space, which supports people who just need to get outside and learn to grow. And it also grows all the plants that then get used at the Verrington. I mean, it's like fantastic. So we raise a little bit of money for the growing space in Wincanton, and all around the world on the same day there are tiny plant sales.
Run by women mostly.
Mostly run by women. It's not about particularly, but it is mostly women. And it's a bring and buy model. You bring in your plants and you sell them and you raise a little bit of money for your small local gardening charity. And last year I think there were 200. And you feel as
Well, I
though,
had no idea. What a great story.
you feel as though, we don't look at the news. You see these, the orange blimp on the telly going, oh, I'm changing my mind again. And we're all going, oh, just turn the television
We so need
off.
positive news. We so need positive
We
news.
go and we have a little plant sale, and imagine the ripple effect of that 200 quid in your little and the community. I've had the nicest thank you letters I've ever had from that plant sale.
Yeah.
So that's what we do.
I'm going to that's fantastic, Julia. I love that. And also I'm very interested, again, you may have said this, I didn't pick it
Do you
up.
want to sit on my knee?
You will in a minute. You let us the applause thing, just to show he's applauding you too. So the other thing which I'm very interested in is how you leave a lot of your land to rewild. grow the flowers in part of it, but the majority of the land is just there growing itself. Is that?
Well, that is a really big deal. So my husband, he would not do what we do if it were not completely organic. And what his dream was to have a place called Hedge World. So we planted 1/2 mile of hedges, which is brilliant on a 7-acre plot, which is brilliant because it makes it very sheltered. If I were more commercial, so I'm the businesswoman, if I were more commercial, he wouldn't engage with it. What he wants is a place where orchids can flourish.
Beautiful.
And his line is, if you look after the invertebrates, the rest of the food chain will look after itself. And there's a wonderful book by a man called Merlin Sheldrake about entangled life. And when I finished it, I thought, when the human race kills itself off, shortly, all the tree roots and all the mycelium which hold the earth together will stick up their fruiting bodies and wave and go, goodbye. Bye. And so we keep half the land wild because then we can make a living out of half of it and the other half is giving back. It's free land.
I love it. I love that you do that.
Yes.
I haven't been up to your place for a very, very long time. Time for a visit. And do you let people come and visit?
We often, but my husband also doesn't like people, so we don't generally have very many. We have open days. We have one garden tour a year when you have to book on, but it's very interesting. And we have workshops, a few workshops at the land. But the land is not really for the people. It's for the birds. It's deafening. In the morning, you get up in the morning, you're woken up by the birds, and there are ladybirds. People often say to me, how do you get so many ladybirds? How do you get so many ladybirds? And the answer is, you don't kill the green fly. If they haven't got anything to eat, why are they going to be there? So you have to almost encourage the slugs, because if you don't have any slugs, you won't have any beetles. And if you don't have any beetles, you won't have anyone who'll eat the beetles. I mean, you have to look after the little tiny people, and then the rest of the people will have something to eat, including us. And it's got to start with invertebrates. It's got to start with algae, single cell creatures. So that's what we do.
It's absolutely brilliant. So, has anybody got any burning questions before we move to Saskia?
You should go and talk on the arches.
Well, I am about to become, it's not official yet, but I'm about to become, Saskia's going to laugh her head off. This is the snappiest title anybody's ever been given in the world, and it is really Jam and Jerusalem level title. I'm going to be the joint external chair of an organisation called Flowers from the Farm, which is my industry body. So I'm hoping I'll see Sarah when she gets in.
Yeah, she'll be here.
Because we need to get the flower.
That's brilliant. Well, well done. Congratulations to you. And no better chair could they have. Catwalk to farming flowers. Because you were in the fashion business like me in Vogue. You worked for many years.
Sorry.
Burning question. Where are you online? What's it called?
We're Common Farm Flowers.
Common Farm Flowers.
Yeah.
Just
And
on Charlton Musgrove.
so while we don't have millions of visitors, we have quite a popular YouTube channel that people really enjoy. And there's lots and lots of stuff on there.
Do you grow roses?
I do. I've got about 250 roses.
So how do you stop them from disease getting disease?
Well, the whole thing is, if you don't grow in a monoculture, if you grow in a polyculture and you grow organically, you get a bit of black spot at the end of the summer, and the roses at the end of the row might get a lot of green fly, but that's it.
When I stopped spraying a few years ago, I mean by sort of August, everything was on the ground, the leaves, the whole lot.
Well, you have to, when you prune them, so we prune with a hedge trimmer in February, prune, and then rake everything that's on the ground away, ground away, and burn it. That's where the black spot is. It's a fungal thing that gets into the ground and then it gets splashed back onto the plants when it rains. So rake away all of that stuff and burn it, and then mulch them, a couple of inches of really good quality mulch, and they should be fine. And you can remulch them in the summer to stop them drying out, never mind. But that works really well. We do get black spot, but really at the end of the summer.
I think Joy wanted to ask something.
Hi. Have you heard about the daddy longlegs, the larvae, the nematodes?
Leather
can-
jackets.
Well,
yeah,
leather
leather
jackets.
jackets.
Yes.
And I've got a neighbour who's completely obsessed with them, and she's using all sorts of stuff to get rid of them and told me about it. And I thought, I'm not really going to do that.
I'm not a big fan of nematodes. I think anything, I mean, and
They work okay in polytunnels and things, don't they? I think, whereas in
they
clothes.
work, but I feel as though even if something's microscopic, if you're massively changing an ecosystem
Yes.
by importing a lot of people, it can't, and I know that everybody goes, it's fine, it's fine, it's fine. I'm not convinced, and so I never nematoded my slugs, for example.
Right, okay.
And I'm not a big fan of biological control.
No.
But I am only 3 acres of cut flowers in a very large wild area,
Yes.
and if I were more commercial, I might be more concerned about it.
Yeah, it's just everybody's gardens are being affected, the grass and stuff is, but...
Yes, but if you have no leather jackets,
Yeah,
then the crows have got nothing to eat. When you see,
okay.
you know, when you see a parliament of
Right.
crows on your lawn,
Yeah,
they're eating the leather jackets.
and we've got loads of crows where we are.
Yeah, that's what they're there for.
Right.
And if you take away the leather jackets, what are they going to eat? And there'll be no crows. And then we've got no birds.
Yeah, thank you.
You will.
That really helps.
You don't need a law.
I'm so
This
pleased
is
I
a
didn't do
big
anything.
deal. I think it is in our gift.
Yes.
It is in all of our gift to not have perfect gardens.
Yeah.
It's in our gift to allow the
I don't like
pests.
them anyway.
Yeah, it's your gift
Yeah.
to just
Okay.
stand back and allow.
Yeah. Thank you.
You're
That's
welcome.
great.
We're going to come back to Georgie in a minute. We're going to turn to Saskia now, who does her extraordinary products here in Wincanton. It is amazing how people do get attracted. Well, we live in a wonderful place, don't we?
We do.
Where else would we want to
When
live?
also
Generally,
Georgie telling her
Southwest
story,
Wales.
I realised how much we're interlinked. Georgie's the reason that I moved down here, got my job down here, but also I grew cut flowers too. I had a half an acre patch in Gloucestershire before it was cool and trendy, and before Georgie even, which is how I knew her, because I looked at her, came across her profile on Twitter because I was promoting the flower essences.
Well, before you did that, explain a little bit
Yeah,
about
no,
what
I
you did.
just finished this bit.
Oh.
And so therefore, it said the flower farmer, and I looked it up, and she was in Wincanton. So I said, "Oh, I do what you do. Can I come and live in your shed and help you?" And she was like, "No."
But I knew a woman who, I knew somebody who
Somebody who
did
needed me. Yeah. So I come from a horticultural background. By accident, nothing's by accident, I know. So I was a gardener, professional gardener for 35 years. I've done all my careers kind of alongside each other. Now I just concentrate on the flower essences. But yeah, so I was a plants person. The plants are my thing. They're much easier than humans, much more straightforward and less complicated and everything. And they don't talk back, really.
Unless
They
you block
do
them
actually, if you listen to them, they talk an awful lot. But that's the whole thing with flower essences, but it's not so loud as humans. So
You were the king's florist. I have to put that in.
that kind of comes in the middle. Yeah, so I was a flower grower. I was horticultural mostly. Grew flowers, and then had my patch of cut flowers. And needed more floristry experience if I was going to take it any further. I was doing bunches of flowers. I did well before social media, even before the internet, it seems like. But I used to just hand deliver them like a veg box scheme, rather than through the post. But needed more experience, and so a friend of mine got me a job at Highgrove, so I became a florist at Highgrove and ran all the palaces.
We're calling so.
All the palaces and
Game
everything.
of florist at Highgrove.
Oh yeah, okay, I was the king's florist. But that, it seems like different. I was a completely different person then. Doesn't even seem like anything to do with me. But it was good fun, and I loved the contrast. We lived in a little wooden hut in a kind of festival life with my kids and partner, and it was absolute chaos, which is why I needed the essences in the first place. And was going then putting my smart clothes on and going to Buckingham Palace and doing banquets. So I kind of really get off on that contrast of life, and being able to switch hats and just like women do. You know, we're always changing hats and being something else, going to visit the headmistress, and in the meantime doing the shopping and everything else, multitasking. But I really loved the absolute contrast of those lives and being able to be in the middle of that. But it did have its toll. and I needed flower essences. So I discovered the Australian bush flower essences, if anyone's used those. But because I was a plants person and knew all my plants around me, the Australian ones I couldn't feel into. I didn't know why they did what they did. If anyone doesn't know, flower essences are like the bark flower remedies. So you take them as drops under your tongue and they don't smell. And they shift and change how you feel and behave. So I needed essences and they worked, and the kids thrived. Well, they didn't thrive on them, but they survived. We all survived with using essences. We managed to get through without killing anyone, or going down a dark route. So I discovered the essences and carried on being a florist and carried on with my cut flowers and some of my gardening clients at the same time. And you look back and you go, how did I do all that all at once? But then I moved to Wincanton when the kids got bigger, and decided that I was going to do the essences full time. So now I do the essences full time, and I've got a shop further up the high street. And again, most of my presence is online, and we send essences around the world and win awards. One of my main things is getting more and more people using essences in today's landscape, emotional landscape, political landscape,
And how do you think they
environmental
work?
landscape.
For those who haven't
How
experienced
do flower essences work? Which is why I bought my little posy of flowers for us all to look at flowers if we felt drawn to.
Yes.
Flower essences work because every plant on the planet has a different vibration. Like every human has a different vibration. They've all got their characters, and a flower essence is a mechanism for being able to store that vibration of that plant in a liquid that we can then take into our bodies. So a bit like listening to a record. If I bought a record in today, which I could have done, if I bought a round disc of plastic in and said there's music in this bit of plastic, you'd all be going, you must be joking. What music in that bit of plastic? But we all know there is music held in that plastic, and when we hear the record going round and round, the music comes as a vibration through the air from the speaker into our ears and changes how we feel. We all agree that, and there's no one on the planet who would say otherwise. We definitely know that music changes how we feel. So that's quite straightforward. But a bit of plastic having music in it is a bit woo-woo. So if I hold a bottle of flower essences up and say there's the energy of plant in this liquid, you'd be going, you must be joking, that's stupid. However, if you take that liquid into your body, you will feel different. And depending on the flower, you will feel different in a different way, because each flower has a different lesson to teach us, basically. So, well, I'd like you to do it yourself, really. Are you going to have the pulmonera? I'd like you to, from this little one sitting on the top, but maybe if you pass these around and all take whichever flower you fancy, whichever calls to you, then probably enough. There's quite a lot in there. It might be better if we take them out. Is it better if we take them out and do it that way? And just take whichever one you want and just see how it makes you feel. So so basically when you take flower essence into your body, all the water, the vibration's held in water. So when it goes into your body, all the water in your body feels that vibration. And shifts more so than listening to a record. Sometimes old patterns from when you were a child can be shifted. I mean, I wouldn't be up here doing this now if I would be at the back not being able to say anything if I hadn't used essences. My life's completely changed. I mean, life does it as you grow and get older and stuff, and you have different experiences. But I can honestly say the flower essences, they're really transforming. I mean, just even that these days, I've seen thousands of people now over the years giving them personal blends, and Georgie's one of my oldest customers, clients, patients. I'm not sure.
Patient.
She's very patient.
You're my therapist.
So
This is a therapy.
So for 12 years, Georgie's been coming pretty regularly, and I've got lists and lists of all the different essences she needed, and some of them she's never needed. Some out of my
but some of them I nearly always get a new one. Sometimes there's a sort of repeat. And you're like, oh, okay, more, lots
of nettle.
Impatience. Yeah, often that. Nettles all the time. But this time no nettle.
No, this time she didn't need
this time I've got black hollyhock, which is an invisibility cloak, apparently.
I love it. Yes, it's very...
You're not invisible. That's quite interesting that you get it invisible as your...
Well, it is never the same twice.
Well, her outward persona isn't. but that doesn't necessarily mean inside. That
That's-
there's an aspect
yes.
of her that
Of course.
needs that protection.
Yes, you
Yes,
do.
the more you go on
Yeah.
Substack, the more you're going to have your black hollyhock.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know, it's a really interesting, because I've always loved the social media, I love social media, and I
Yeah.
love performing, I love to talk,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but that doesn't mean that anybody knows what's going on inside.
Well, it's the same for all of us, I can tell you.
Yeah,
I hate
yeah,
walking
yeah.
into a room and
Yeah.
having to sort of say hello to people I don't know. At the same
Yeah.
time, I can stand up in front of a big crowd.
Exactly.
Hello.
Hi, I have a question. I make bath and beauty products using organic essential oils. But this is different, isn't it?
This is very different. This
this
is
is you're taking
completely
it
the opposite end of the
internally.
spectrum.
Okay.
They don't smell. B, you take them internally.
Right.
And C, essential oils contain the most amount of plant material you can possibly get into a liquid.
Right.
And with the flower essences, it's diluted down. So
Okay.
20 flowers can make me 10,000 bottles of flower essence.
Wow.
So people often say, where do you get your flowers from? And I just go and get them when I need. So that, my company isn't that big that I need to make them every year. So some essences I only make every 5-10
So
years.
these are medicinal, and the
yeah.
aromatherapy is therapeutic. You
I wouldn't go as far as medicinal, because medicinal would imply that they help you physically.
Yes.
Obviously, we all know that our emotions lead down to our physical
Yes.
wellness or illness or
Okay.
whatever. So if we keep our emotional lives happy and healthy, then we're much less likely to get diseased. But then I wouldn't. They luckily they come under food.
Okay.
You do put them, so you were saying
Food
I'm going to come and
regulations.
get some of your face cream and stuff.
Yes. So you can add them into beauty products,
Yes.
but only water-based ones rather than
Right,
oil-based.
okay, so-
If you've got water in your product, I do also make a range of mists. And when you said about the roses, I do actually go and deadhead Georgie's roses and distill them to make rose water,
Lovely.
which I then which is a really nice crossover.
This
She's
is
really
what I
pleased
use.
that I just go and deadhead her roses
Yes.
for them, and I go, oh my god, more rose petals.
So I just text Saskia in the morning. And say,
Sorry.
sorry.
Yes, saskiasfloweressences.com.
Thank you.
And her lovely shop is just up the road here in Colsey Yard.
Yeah.
Well worth a visit, but she's not there right now, obviously.
Only weekday mornings, I'm there.
Yeah.
Vicky?
Vicky.
So the flowers have their own vibration.
Mhm.
Does that vibration work to one thing, or say mental clarity, or do you have to get a particular flower that works for one person and it might be a different flower for another person? Is the flower
yes.
property a constant?
That's a very interesting question.
Sorry.
No, it is. It's brilliant to have interesting questions. A bit like humans, you have your personality,
Mhm.
and we will all respond differently to you, depending on our own stuff. And we will also draw out different parts of your personality depending on who we are. So when you're with people who want to go out dancing and be loud and whatever, you become loud and outgoing and whatever. And if you want to hang out with your friend who you sit and do Scrabble with and watch that movie and talk about deep things, then that part of your personality comes out. So with the flower essences, they have their basic personality, which hopefully you can all kind of pick up from there. You will pick up characteristics of that plant and how it makes you feel. Someone else will have a different relationship to that plant. However, it will still be its dandelion, its daffodilly thing.
Gotcha.
It will have its own personality and it will have that within itself, but every person will respond differently, slightly, to it, depending on their own story. Yeah.
Right.
So it which makes it very subjective, which makes it words quite difficult. I feel like often I'm translating plant language into human language not very well, maybe better than some people would, because I know my plants so well, but human words don't really fit plant energies. We have
It's
to like
amazing when you
translate
start
them into
thinking
human.
about it, that you're actually talking to the flowers in
Yeah.
different language. I love
Yeah,
that. So beautiful.
because plant language, we respond. You've all responded differently to those flowers, and if you all swap them, you would all have different responses to those flowers. And it's quite interesting to look at them and see what you like about the plant flower you've chosen and what you don't like, and why you might have chosen a particular essence. A bit like going into a room full of people and you having to go and talk to someone at a party. You kind of look around and first of all you get their physicality. So again with the plants, you might be drawn to Tamsin, because she's got that nice bright dress on, and go, oh, she looks nice and sparkly. Especially if you're not feeling so sparkly yourself, you might be attracted to that. So with the flowers, if you're not feeling particularly yellow, you might have been drawn to a yellow flower. Yellow is kind of the solar plexus energy, more confidence and outward going, and the daffodils are quite loud.
I love that.
And then some, like the Fritillaria here, is more complex and darker and calmer, and it's got this kind of very, when you look at the petals, you go in deeper with the thing.
I also love the way you use the pendulum when you're working out what people should have, and I'm sure you're familiar with the pendulum.
Well, I use the pendulum a lot because of this problem with translating and it's a double translation. When people come to me for consultation, they have to, if I was doing it by what they said and what's going on in their life, they would have to tell me what's going on. So you telling me about your emotions, in any language, we haven't got many words for the emotions, and we've got an awful lot of emotions and not many words to use. But also, you're telling me you might not want to tell me stuff, it might be difficult for you to tell me stuff, especially if on the first visit. If you had to tell me your stuff, so then I could decide what essences you needed using my head. And also I've got the translation of the plants, which might not necessarily be correct for you. So they might be correct for me or for people that I've been using them for the last 20 years. But for you in particular, that flower might not be the right one. So using a pendulum, you bypass all of that, and the translation's both ways. You don't have to tell me all your stuff. Sometimes it's useful, so I can pick up on your energy, or I can talk about the essences in relation to what you're going through. But also the pendulum picks up in what order you need your essences. So if you come to me and you tell me something's going on like now, that thing might be happening to you now because of a really old pattern or something that's happened 2 years back, or how you've been treated, whether you were a middle child and never listened to, or you had trauma in your childhood. The situation you're in now, not everyone would respond in the same way. So when someone comes into the shop and says, oh, I need an essence, my father died last week, I would know how I would feel if my father had died last week, but I can't assume that that person is feeling the same things. They've got a completely different relationship with their father. They might have been abused, or they might be not seen them for the last 20 years, or all sorts of stuff. So a situation that occurs, we don't all respond to the same way. So the pendulum, again, bypasses all of that. And I don't think I could do what I do now without it. Some flower essence practitioners do the talking consultations. Personally, I couldn't.
Can I just ask, you were talking about the energy of flowers. I am sitting holding this, my hand is very still. As you can see, it's bobbing about all over, which is in different directions. Can you see?
Yes, it's talking to you.
It's amazing.
Amazing. So,
Yes.
well,
I still have some questions.
okay, we've got a lot of talks today, so I was going to suggest we have a couple of quick questions now. You're not leaving,
No.
so maybe we could move it downstairs because there's other talks going on all day. I don't know how I managed to be quite so pushy with it.
Very organised.
Very organised. I'm just looking for
You
my
just have to be-
sheet now. That I
But
can't
we
find.
all know once we start speaking,
Everybody
you can come and do classes with me, and I can speak all
in
day.
the past.
I asked
Yeah.
you because
Yeah.
my daughter's just bought her essence.
Right.
She's just finished her second year in a healing course.
Okay.
And she's got one more year to do. She lives in South Korea.
Great.
She's amazing. And I might be teaching class.
Yes, I do.
Great.
If she signs up to my newsletter, she'll be the first to know, but I've been a bit slow in booking them this year.
Both these brilliant ladies,
I do understand.
women, I hate the word ladies, so I don't say that. But both these brilliant women are very active on social media and can be tracked down very, very easily. So if any of you are not following them, please do follow them.
And we talk to each other a lot.
So Georgie's of course on Substack, she's brilliant.
And she's on
Instagram.
everything else.
And
Instagram,
YouTube.
and Facebook.
And this is going to be, and then you're all over Instagram.
Yeah, I prefer Instagram, but also I like my newsletter gang too, so do sign up and you get discount codes and special products and all sorts.
Yeah.
So
if there's anybody else dying to say something, but you're not going, and we've got the lovely Townsend's table downstairs, and then there's coffees and bits to eat and things, and other people that are in the room have got things that are going on downstairs. So if you want to thank very much, Georgie and Saskia, who were the first people I asked, were the first to say yes. Thank you so much for coming along. I have learnt a huge amount, I have to say. I'm really grateful, and we look forward to seeing how this grows, really. I mean, actually what we're doing today is really planting seeds and bringing people together who work in community or in the sort of general area with flowers, with herbs, with vegetables, with growing, with farming, and how we can perhaps continue on in some way, speaking as women of the land to each other about what we can do together. And I love what the sale day every year that all the growers do.
It's a common good plant sale. So if you look up my website or just type in common good plant sale, it'll probably take you to, there's a page on my website that has a bit of information. But we're not, I'm massively anti-spending. So there is no, I'm not going to send you a pack of information. You're intelligent, able people who can organise a small plant sale in your community.
Yeah, but we'll keep the information going out in our newsletter as well. I mean, we're going to
Common good plant sale.
What about
The business is Common Farm Flowers. Common Farm Flowers.
So thank you so much, you two.
Well,
Big